Hello, snowboarders of the internet. We're your hosts, Kevin Hub, Avran Lefebvre, and this is the Angrysnowboarder podcast. And you're either watching it on YouTube or listening to it on Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, but not iTunes.
Not iTunes!
iTunes denied us yet again to be on the podcast. Last time, no problem. This time we set up a new podcast, not allowed. So we're not allowed on there.
I don't know if we were... I don't know.
I only use Apple products. I don't know why they don't like me.
Yeah, you really do, though. Like, for real. Apple, if you're paying attention, it's literally all he uses. I don't. But it's all he uses.
It is all that I use. Anyways, it's been a month since the last podcast. I know a lot of people were hoping that we would be talking about 2020 product. We are not. We are going to do a specific 2020 product preview podcast, which it's going to be really hard for you people that just listen to us on the internet and don't watch us on YouTube. But Kevin will be at SIA. He's going to snap a bunch of photos. I will not be at SIA because I just don't care. I think SIA is irrelevant right now.
Yeah, it is. And now they're charging for media, which they didn't ever used to. And it's really not worth the money to go down there. I'm getting in for free because I know people, not that Avran doesn't, but it's worth it for me to go down there for this and for my other job.
Yeah.
So I'm going down, but yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have a whole, we're going to do that probably after, so it'll be a week from
Thursday is when I'm going, so maybe
Thursday, and then we
right
got
around there is probably when
yeah, it'll be a week or two, depending when I edit this podcast together. But we'll have that all done. Full product preview, going through catalog by catalog. We'll have links to all the digital catalogs that we can, so you can follow along by what pages we're talking about. I'm spending all day Saturday this week actually going through, taking notes on everything. I'm doing that, so that'll be going on. Let's see what else is going on.
I had my first celebrity selfie.
Kevin did have his first with Steve OK.
Yep.
That's literally his name, Steve OK.
And if he's listening to this and or watching this, I was a little caught off guard, and I also am now finally getting over being sick, so in the rest of this podcast, if you hear me dying of coughing, that's what that is. And I was starting to feel shitty literally that day when I met you, so if you felt like I was kind of vibing you out or I just wasn't as stoked to meet you, then that's why. Because I was starting to feel like death at that point. I ended up with a fever of 102 that night, so it got pretty bad. So it was rad to meet you. That was pretty cool. I got a selfie with somebody. That's
knocked that
weird.
One off. You can knock that one off your list.
But yeah, so that happened.
Let's see.
What else we got?
Evidently, we offended a few people with the last podcast. Yeah, especially talking about YouTube vloggers because.
Dude, honestly, I did not expect to really offend people during that one all that much. Like, I thought maybe a couple people might be upset for some reason, but in general, that wasn't. We
didn't knock anyone.
Really knock anybody.
I just said that I would call them out when the time was right to call them out. And what I mean by that is all these guys showing people how to go out access gates into slack country or in the back country and not showing them Beacon Shovel Probe or Janice Spiteri just walking off the highway. Someone is going to fucking die. And
literally die.
Literally
that's not an exaggeration.
That's not an exaggeration. And that's what I mean by call them out. And also, I noticed a lot of them are endorsing these really generic shit goggle companies. Please stop that. You're hurting people's eyes. You're going to cause them to go blind. But the best one had to be from this guy named Joe Postma. This is absolutely hilarious. This came out. This comment came in the day after I did the top 5 reasons weekend warriors are the most core snowboarders. This guy's like, remember your vid about core snowboarders? They watch all the vlogs and they buy shit. Get a brain, you damn dummy. And, you know, I hyped Casey in that video because Casey Willex is my boy and I will hype him forever. It is Casey who I stopped watching because he always talking about his feelings and his meditation and his spiritual BS that makes his life so great. When actually his daddy pays for all of his shit, right? Casey is a freaking fruitcake. Got to listen to his spiritual BS constantly and how his life is so much better than the rest of ours, etc. Screw him. I've learned nothing about boarding from Casey. All I've learned from Casey is how to be a mooch and sneak free shit. Well, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but Casey's dad is literally dead. So his dad doesn't pay for anything. Like, that dude grew up without a dad because he died. So, and part of the reason Casey's whole blessed life thing is he understands that we will all die at some point. So he's going to get the most out of it. As far as him being a mooch, no, I consider that actually really great marketing in getting people to support him because he hustled for years to get a company to support him. And with the dynamic of snowboarding changing...
Yeah, Casey didn't get to this point overnight.
No.
He worked for it.
He worked for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember the years that he would work landscaping like 16-hour days and save all his money and then come out to Colorado. And we had a friend, Ryan, that owns a couple properties that was giving him cheaper rent and stuff, or sometimes just forgetting to pick up the rent checks because that's how Ryan was. And that was it. But the next paragraph is, this thing just gets more comedic as it goes on. He's like, TJ at Board Archive sends it constantly, reviews all sorts of shit that we core boarders then buy and keep pricks like you afloat, you FDH. I have no clue what FDH is.
FDH.
Fucking dummy head?
Fucking dummy head.
Fucking dummy head. That's what I'm going.
Yep.
And I wouldn't really say he sends it. I mean, he's like a low-level regional rider.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good rider.
He's a good rider. I'm not knocking that.
Send it. You know, he's not Pat Moore.
Right. Then I love the next one. Kevin at Snowboard Pro Camp is the chillest, kindest dude who you can learn how to board from day one just by watching a few of his vids. A total class act. Something you know nothing about. Well, I don't pretend to be the nicest guy. I'm literally like the guy that's old and crusty and fucking hates you. And David Jones is the kind of guy you hope your daughter meets one day. I don't necessarily agree with that. If I had a daughter, probably not. Buckhouse sends it. Ooh, no, he doesn't. And is so happy and enthusiastic all the time. Yes, he is. Napton is happy and fulfilled that we watch his vids. Chris Ayres is such a cool dude, and so is Andreas Schubert. I have no clue who Andreas is. I think that's the shop guy that hangs out with Snowboard Pro Camp. And they barely produce anything, but watching them shred is like a dream. And you know what? When random people recognize them on the lift or the hill, they engage and they ask them about boarding. They say thanks for saying hi. They genuinely tell them to have a good day. They take a few pics with them, etc. You are such an amazing DH. Dummy head?
Dummy head.
Dummy head.
Yep.
You deserve to go under. You're lucky you have a business in a resort town. Else no one would ever like you or tolerate you enough to hire you ever. You got problems, dude. Figure yourself out. Well, so I actually work for a company. Like, literally work for, like, I was hired. I've been noticed as being one of their best employees 4 years in a row. The new general manager that was brought in actually thanked me and profusely, I think it was more or less, please don't quit because we'd be screwed without you. So there's that.
And the one time that I was with you that we ran into somebody that actually recognized us, like, granted, he didn't ask for a photo, but we were nice to him. We said thanks for watching. Like, I mean, we weren't assholes. Like,
no, I don't get it.
Like,
If he's butthurt because I basically said I will not ride a chairlift with people. That's my time. When I'm on my time, that's mine. It kind of reminds me of when I was working with Never Summer and the owner's wife saw Gene Simmons at SIA. And Gene's like at a spaghetti, like fine Italian dinner, eating some spaghetti, and they like geeked out on him and he's trying to eat. No celebrity wants you to fucking do that. I'm not even saying I'm a celebrity. I have my time, and my time is my time. I will not make time for you. I will not acknowledge you. I might say thank you, and that is it, but I'm not going to ride with you. I'm doing me. Like, I have enough issues in my life that snowboarding is my thing. Like, my Bruce, who used to be our ad sales guy, I ran into him at the gym today, and he's like, dude, I need a bunch of die cuts. There's a bunch of guys freaking out about you over at Copper because they saw my Angrysnowboarder pin on my goggle strap. And they're like, I've followed Angry for years and blah, blah, blah. And Bruce is like, well, he rides Copper occasionally and with me. So I was like, yeah, go give him a bunch of stuff. But, I mean, I don't own a business in a resort town. Like, I'm working for the man, and they're paying that. So, I mean, I don't know. It was kind of funny how much name dropping this guy gave. And
I know. Like, what was the purpose of that? What was the purpose of dropping all the names? Like,
I don't know.
That comment would have been, I mean, it wasn't effective, but it would have been just as effective had he just said all the other ones that I've had experiences with. or something. Like, you didn't need to name
I feel like
that.
there's this whole thing with YouTube and stuff where you get such a glimpse into people's lives that you feel that you are friends with them and that you take like an ownership.
Yeah.
Whereas with me, I'm like, that's the vlogger side.
Right.
And I'm not a vlogger.
Right.
We do videos. I will not vlog. I don't want you in my life. I don't.
We're media. There's a big difference.
Media. And this goes into what I'm working for and what we're going to see with Angry Snowboarder VIP in the next few months and the relaunch. But how to do things. Like, I've got power moves I want to make for us, and I've got ideas to take things to the next level. And the growth that we're seeing is because we're not, like, if you want, it's the same thing when someone tells me, you should do it this way, so you want me to be this person. I'm not going to be that person. I will never be that person. I did find, though, that we ended up having a little bit of a conversation with Joe Postma here, and he's like, so I called him out. I was like, oh, here we go. Armchair quarterback extreme with a dash of psychoanalyst for good measure. You really got all of us pegged. You know the true stories there. It's amazing how much you can project in one comment. You are literally the problem of all snowboarding. Yes, people like that are what I consider the biggest issues with it.
They're a huge issue, for sure.
They're a huge issue. But it was pretty funny because I put it up on our Facebook, so anyone that knows me knows I will just call you out. And so round 2, there was almost a round 3, but I blocked the guy by that point, so I didn't even care. But he's like, here you go. Oh, this is his response. That's some butthurt right there. You're quite butthurt. Do you physically feel it too, or is it all just mental rage? I really wasn't butthurt. I was just more or less calling you out for what you are, but okay. Yeah, not predictable at all. Gee, I sure didn't, said twice, expect an insightful reply like that. Yeah, I'm really the problem with boarding as I snowboard down the hill. Man, that sure creates problems. Hey, loser, get more butthurt. Don't you have a board to wax in the back room or something? Get back to work, slave. Well, first you said I owned a business. Now you're saying that I'm a slave and I have... one, I don't even work in a shop anymore. I haven't worked in a shop in years.
12,
just
14 years, something.
No.
Or I guess lumberyard.
Well, I know I
So
helped Deeds, but I helped Deeds at lumberyard. But I mean, after I got let go from the one job, I managed a full shop. I managed Colorado Freeride for a season until they ran that into the ground. And then, did I work at another shop after that? I can't remember. I remember I got so burnt out with the whole politics of shops, and I was trying to be like low-end, entry-level guy, and they kept trying to make me management. I was like, I don't want to be management. I don't want to be management. But yeah, round two was pretty funny. A lot of people loved my sign-off that I gave this guy, but I was like, okay, so here it is. You're weak mentally. Your projections are just that. Yours, you have a whole slew of misinformation, which is comedic at best. And like I said, this guy was just projecting all sorts of bullshit. You're the one that's clearly upset and butthurt, which is true.
Yeah.
Why else would you go to such a length to name drop and talk up what others are doing? Could it be because you haven't done shit with your life? It's really easy to sit in the armchair and comment. Would you like me to prescribe a top 5 ways to cure your butthurt? It wouldn't take that much effort. I could do a whole top 5 for this guy on butthurt. And then I just basically called him out. I was like, you're the lowest common denominator of snowboard commenters. You have no leg to stand on, and you have nothing to give snowboarding. You remind me of the guy that wanted me to just do videos shitting on every YouTuber that vlogs. In the grand scheme of things, your insecurities are that you've never created anything, that you've never done anything, and that you know nothing. If you disappeared tomorrow, no one would know that you even existed, and that scares you. But rather than do something constructive to build yourself or others up, you want to tear them down. I might be the angry snowboarder, but at least I can back up everything I say with actions and real logic. You're just an emotionally stunted human that feels self-entitled. And in other news, you're now getting blocked because, frankly, you suck dicks with your butthole. That last sentence, so many people are like, I'm going to save that, which, as I said at the start of the year, this will be a very politically incorrect channel, and I'm okay with that. I have no problems with that. I've also decided that from here on out, any super haters like that, I will just call out. I will put them on blast socially, and I do not care. I do not give a fuck. I will link to this guy's YouTube channel, and if anyone wants to comment on it, go ahead. I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is the whole thing. Like, I will never be one of those people that claims, I'm a YouTuber. No, YouTube is the platform that we utilize for our videos. If something better comes along, you better believe I will jump ship. This is something I learned from Gary Vee. be prepared for anything. I check out all the new stuff that's coming out to see where it sits, but snowboarding always tends to be the last to the party when everyone else is accepting it or whatnot. So I sit back, I wait, I see what they're doing. I mean, podcasts have been huge for 5 years. Snowboarding just started getting podcasts in the last 2 years. Like the last 2 years, you know? It's funny. Like, you got to commend Kevin at Snowboard Pro Camp for being the first to really capitalize and be in the right spot to make YouTube into a business. But right now, like, my old thing is, how many different ways can we just figure out what we have to do to make money from every different angle to keep us afloat and to create the content that you guys know and love? And that's really where I'm at. I never, you know, I will say a lot of contradictory things. I don't give a fuck. My opinions can change in like 10 minutes. I've had 23 concussions. My head injuries, I have no clue what's going on anymore.
I think I've had 5. I'm slacking.
No, you're winning. You are winning. I'm going to die of CTE. Probably just going to off myself in the next 5 years, but whatever. As I always joke with superfan Alan Russell, I'm like, I'll kill myself when my to-do list is finished, but it keeps growing, so I'm never going to be able to kill myself. Die of old age before that. And for all those people that don't like hearing stuff like that or that dark, deprecating humor, this is how I cope with the head injuries and the depression, is I shit on myself and I talk about killing myself on the regular. I'm like, every day I just start thinking, I was like, I could do it this way. That's kind of messy. Someone would have to clean that up. What's the best way to do this? I don't know. Plus, I kind of want to die of natural causes, but donate my body to the body farm so they can just leave me in the woods and animals can eat me.
There you go.
Because then, you know, I'll taint all those animals and they'll become my demonic children.
Yeah, they will.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact, but that's pretty much what we've been up to. I mean, you know, popped out a few product review videos, working on a few other projects, finally finished up all the die cuts I printed months ago, which I've been meaning to. So we'll be adding new die cut selections to Angrysnowboarderstore.com. Also proofing a bunch of new graphics and stuff for the March drop of apparel. So for all you guys that love merchandise and didn't get in on the last drop, it's coming in March. It'll probably be around the 15th. I'm working on some very limited stuff. Also, I've had a few people reach out because we keep talking about Angry Snowboards. Let's just say that has progressed on to the next level.
Yeah.
Nothing is written in stone.
No real decisions have quite been made.
But if it does happen, boards would be for the September drop, more or less, hopefully, depending on if we can get it into production early. They would be limited runs. Prices haven't been set, but talked to a few factories, and for all you people, this is another one. I get all these people that think that we're all just pro Nidecker now. There's like a whole contingent of people that think all we do is Nidecker reviews. There's like 300 snowboard reviews. There's not 300 Nidecker boards in the world.
Yeah, in the last month we've had a fair share of Nidecker reviews, but that's because we had Nideckers to review.
True.
So, and that's just kind of how the review process is gonna go from now on is, when we get a brand to review, we're going to ride as much of that stuff as we can, and we're going to put up the reviews. So you're going to get kind of like reviews in blocks with brands, basically. Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of the way it's going to work best for us. So that's how it's going to come to you guys. Yeah.
So that's really it. But just so people know, I've been talking with factories in China and the United States. This isn't going to be something where we pick one factory and then we do a line of multiple boards from it. I'm picking factories and companies that I like, and I like their products and stuff that Kevin and I would back, and we're working with them. Yes, it is existing molds. We're not creating a product from the ground up. We're taking boards that we know and love and putting our graphics on them so that way with the markup and everything, that money will fund more projects.
Yeah. And it's not beyond question that we get to a point where we may get, you know, a special edition Angry board that we actually design, but that may be a bit farther off just because of the financing.
The financing cost. Like we've got to open.
It's a lot more upfront cost to get that kind of thing started.
But yeah, we're talking with companies about different collabs and stuff like that, and so this is what we've been working on. And, you know, I know you guys get a podcast once a month, but we're trying to grow everything. If in the foreseeable future, when I launch a few more things, because this is my brainchild to bring this to fruition, you will see Kevin and I doing more projects. And if we can do more projects, you'll get more content. But the sneak preview of basically what I'm working on is to try to figure out a way to drive more revenue without advertising, per se, inside the industry with like endemic ads, but non-endemic, you know, like YouTube ads and stuff, so that we can hire a staff. My goal is by the end of 2019 to have a staff of up to 6 people, counting myself. So that's 5 other people to work, but that would be a full-time editor and filmer, a production assistant / researcher, a behind-the-scenes person, and I would love to find a female that could do product reviews.
Yeah, we mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts before that we are open to the idea and definitely would. We're taking applications more or less.
Yes,
it's
but
something
we're
we will
going to
entertain
be
for sure, and would love to get that going. But it's just it's hard. It's hard
and
for
we're
us to
going to
trust
be
somebody
we're going to
like
be
that.
picky about it. But it's pretty funny because I had some social justice warriors saying that I use guys and male descriptors too much, and I need to remember the females. And my response was, "Fuck off with your agenda," because that's how I am. You will know when I am being an ass, and you will know when I am fighting for a cause. But I will not start using words like cisgendered and fucking destroy the patriarchy and shit. I'm just going to do what the fuck I feel is right by snowboarding, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, then I'll try something else. Yeah. One other thing that I do want to mention is Shred Foundation was able to get 50 kids on snow for their first day this year. 4 years ago, they had 8. This year, they got 50 on there. We sent a huge package. A lot of you guys don't understand that we try to support this group more than anything. One, I'm a New Yorker. I grew up in rural New York, and it sucked. I fucking hate the town I'm from. Cattaraugus, New York can burn to the fucking ground. I really don't care. But the one good thing I had was that I had a ski resort 14 miles away, and it did it. And so Shred Foundation is more Eastern New York, like upstate area, not Western New York, like where I'm from. But Danny Hairston and his crew are doing a good thing. And everyone's like, oh, they're just getting inner city kids on that can't afford to snowboard. And I'm like, they're building these kids up with tools to teach them how to be better humans. And what was cool to see is, like, the gear that I sent over the last year, I can see those kids actually wearing the gloves, the pants, the boots, the bindings, the boards. And so, you know, it's not like other charities I see where you kind of wonder where the money goes or where the equipment ends up. This, like, I know that we're changing kids' lives, and I always say that, like, snowboarding will owe me nothing, and I will give everything I can back to it. So it's really cool for that to see. So you should always check out shredfoundation.org. Great cause, great charity. I think they do it right compared to other ones, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do next. Also, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rossignol Snowboards. They're really good at selling skis.
They're really good at selling skis.
Great at selling skis.
Yep.
Yeah. They're a snowboard company that's great at selling skis.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. They're possibly the best snowboard company at selling skis. In fact, everyone listening should just buy Rossignol skis.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that.
Yep. So this episode, 100% brought to you by Rossignol Snowboards. I think. I don't know. They gave me money. It was great. They're like, here's money, go do projects. We don't, like, no restrictions. It's like, can I set a board on fire? Sure, they don't care. So
they don't care.
They're
great.
They're great. Rossignol just doesn't, surprisingly, like, everyone's like, they've got to be the worst company to deal with. No, best company ever.
They're amazing. Yeah,
they're amazing.
Tom is great. I love working with Tom.
Yeah, and Nick. Nick,
Nick,
our local rep. Greatest thing ever. Nick, I need this and I need it by tomorrow. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, when can I get that back? When we're fucking done with it, Nick. Okay, well, just, okay, well, thanks, guys.
And then he'll go do a 270 front board because Nick fucking shreds.
Yes, Nick. Guy keeps getting older and gets better at snowboarding.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah. He's doing better now than when he was a sponsored rider. I love it. So
it's great.
Yeah, Rossignol, love Rossignol. They're like, here's money, go do things. We'll leave you alone. Super core company.
Yeah,
okay,
really
you can't do anything else
out of that money. They really don't. Like so. Yes, Rossi gives us money, but don't think that they're. I mean, they're really not even getting anything out of us for it. They're just.
I really don't know. Yeah, they're kind of just like, here's some fucking money, and if you can find a place to plug us, we're good.
Yeah,
I love it. Like they used one of my quotes over in Europe in some magazine. They were like, they're like, the Angry Snowboarder says, and I was like, looking at this, and I was like, I said that.
It was in Germany or something, wasn't it?
France, I think.
Was it France?
No, it was Germany. It was some
German
snowboard publication.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's really weird to use that in a print publication.
Yeah.
But, you know, the quote was something like, I used to hate Rossignol, and I thought that they would be out of business by now, but somehow they got their head out of their ass and did things right.
Yeah.
Those guys, like the Europeans are like, oh, Angrysnowboarder, Jesus, we just, well, we don't really know how to deal with him, but you just, he just does his thing and it turns out okay. Thank God they make good boards, but their bindings, oh God, their bindings could just, oh.
Yeah.
If they ever want to just like hire one of us to, like, I thought we were going to work on them with boots this year, but they haven't really hit us back.
Fell through.
Yeah, so.
I'll ask him about that. I'll see Tom here in a couple days. I'll ask him about boots.
Yeah, so anyways, this podcast brought to you by Rossignol Snowboards. They're great at selling skis.
Yep.
And we're going to go dive into some topics.
All right, topic number 1.
Numero uno.
The Rocky Steps.
Okay, so if anyone isn't familiar, Seb Toots with Redbull hit railed set up on the Philadelphia Art Museum or Art Gallery, where basically the steps that Sylvester Stallone runs up in Rocky, and that's been imitated in numerous other ones. Now, if you know those steps, you know that there is no handrail on those.
There is not.
So they actually transported in 2 rails, not
they
one.
They built them then transported them in.
Yes. So to fit the staircase, which I thought it was, and let me tell you, the rails were not that high up, and the lips were kind of big. And they did a whole parody thing. They had Pat Bridges come in and basically play Mickey, which, I mean, Pat's pretty good for playing Mickey. I mean, you know, he's probably going to die soon like Burgess Meredith with his diet and chain smoking.
Yeah.
But, so they brought him in. He hit I don't know, I watched it today. The concept was good. I love the idea of the concept. It was good. Like, you know, they did a whole training montage and they had Seb hooked up to a winch and being like yanked around and trying to outrun it and standing on a bunch of rocks, jumping around, trying to do different 270s and whatnot. Like, parody-wise, it could have been better, but it was funny to see. But implementation-wise, it's like, you built a fucking rail for a stair set for your video part ender like you were trying to play off at the start of your video, and the rail wasn't that sketchy, and you didn't even make it.
No, you didn't make it.
It
wasn't a make.
And he only 50-50.
The only thing I saw was on Instagram. That's what I'm scrolling through here. I was looking for a specific comment from Max Worthington. I don't know if I'm going to find it, and it may have been deleted, honestly, because it was not in favor of the whole project. But so I didn't even know there was an actual whole project behind this. I literally thought it was just to hit a rail on the steps. I didn't know they did the whole like parody montage to it. That's actually news to me.
Oh, okay. But that's what I saw.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense as far as what the project was, and that makes me feel a little bit better about it. But like the rail itself, you had a little patch of snow on the middle flat deck in case you came off early. Like, when the fuck does an urban dude ever do that? Never.
Well,
you didn't.
They had 2 rails, so like he would come off, and I was like, why didn't you just make it one giant fucking rail? That was my thing. Like, why did he have to come off? And he looked like he was struggling to 50-50 that.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because it was not like
it's not a gnarly rail.
Lengthwise, it's gnarly.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many kinks in there, but the rail itself was like low consequence.
Yeah, low consequence. Like, it was just on stairs, which sure, it fucking sucks to fall on stairs, don't get me wrong. But you had basically park lips.
Yeah,
this was
perfect.
This was a park rail.
Yeah,
this was not a street. Like,
it was a medium fat tube.
Right. The only thing that really made this a street rail was the fact that it was on concrete steps.
Yeah.
Outside of that was a park rail. You didn't, like, Seb didn't build his own lips. The lips were literally, we're talking inches.
They were squared perfect,
Yeah,
too.
they were square perfect, and they were literally inches below the rail. There wasn't, like, hardly any ollie on for it.
No.
Like, they literally made that as easy as fucking possible, and then he didn't even make it.
No, because, like, when they show at the end of the parody video, they show him from the side, and you see he kind of looks like he comes up, but when they showed it straight on, you see that he missed, like, the last 4 or 5 feet of the rail.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get what you're going for. It's Redbull, so they're trying to psych out the regular masses.
Right.
But sitting here as a snowboarder with friends that do ride urban rails for a living, it's sad. And we actually had a lot of people when I put up some stuff on social media about what they wanted us to cover. It was a lot of people that really wanted us to cover this topic. So I know my boy Connor Merrill really wanted me to talk about it, and just about everyone, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everyone was just sending messages like or leaving comments about just cover the sub rail and see what we think about it. I mean, I love the concept of it. What I don't love is the fact that it's by Redbull, who's got enough money to rent those steps for that, to fill out the paperwork, to film it, to get the permits, to do everything. Like, if you and I wanted to do this...
Oh, we'd have no fucking chance.
No chance. Like, you just no way to do it. You know? It's
absolutely
like...
not.
And as Redbull moves further and further from being an energy drink company to a media company, which makes sense because I have a feeling the FDA is going to come down hard when they find out that energy drinks cause kidney disease and heart disease.
Yeah, once the loophole that energy drinks fall into of being considered a supplement instead of a beverage, once that gets closed up, if it ever does get closed up, then every single energy drink is in for a shitstorm.
Yeah. I think energy drinks are like smoking in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, like you ever watch old Larry King interviews and everyone's just Larry King's just chain smoking right there. Like you watch the original Ghostbusters and they show Larry King and he's like, these Ghostbuster guys, and he's just fucking smoking away. And, you know, now you don't see people smoking on air and you don't see all that. No. It's energy drinks. That's what I think it is. And, you know, great, take their frickin' money. But, you know, I can never endorse that shit because it's just going to kill you faster.
Yeah. And literally, like, the other thing is because it technically falls into the loophole of being called a supplement, they don't actually have to tell you what's in it. By the way, they don't actually have to tell you what's in it.
Well, they do. They do have all the ingredients on the can, though. Well,
they say they do, but, like, just like a supplement. Like, there were 2 mountain bikers that just recently got popped for steroids because they were taking a supplement that may or may not have contained an illicit substance. And the thing is when it comes to supplements like that, what the brand that makes it, all they have to do is say it's a proprietary blend, and then the FDA cannot force them to release what's in it.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like the whole Pepsi not having to give away their recipe.
Something similar, yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm not going to be able to find it because there's like over 1,000 comments on this video, and again, like I said, it was not exactly positive, so Max's comment probably got deleted, and it may not have been on Seb's, it was on something I saw, but Max Warmington, rad dude, good snowboarder, basically called out the whole thing and basically said this was a giant waste of money, good job Red Bull, and then followed it up by a comment saying, also, not a make.
Yeah.
Which basically was kind of my entire opinion on the whole thing. Like, just kind of a waste of money. Like,
I think that it would have been funnier instead of having Pat Bridges. In all honesty, it would have been funnier if they had had Stan.
Yeah.
Because Stan is just like a fucking little gargoyle.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks haggard. And it would have been funnier, but plus I think he's funnier than Bridges would have been. Bridges just was more like, oh, you're giving me a check, okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, you know, like I just discovered that this was an entire parody and not just him hitting the Rocky steps. And in the Instagram drop, it probably would have been received a lot better had you interspliced some of the parody into the Instagram video. Because the Instagram video I saw was literally just Seb hitting the rail.
Yeah, no, it was like the 3 clips of him hitting it.
Right.
Like they did.
And like, you know, some bail a couple times, whatever, and then finally get the make, and that was the entire Instagram video. And it wasn't received well. It really wasn't. Most of the comments I saw when it first hit were not positive.
No, and
everybody was calling him out for it.
Well, one of the other big ones was they were calling him out for not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
So I snowboard with a helmet. You snowboard with a helmet.
Yep.
I snowboard with a helmet because I fucking had too many head injuries. Like, I'm gonna be retarded when I get older. I'm gonna have Alzheimer's. I've already come to terms with it. But I get it. Like, you know, we're in this age where you need to be doing this. I'm like, that's fine. If he doesn't want to wear a helmet, he's a grown-ass man. That's his choice. I have no problem with that. Some kid goes out and tries to
go watch a street video. Like,
some people wear helmets, some people don't.
Most of them don't.
Jed wore a helmet.
Yeah.
Sometimes he didn't. You know, there's different guys.
He's one of the exceptions. Most of them don't wear helmets. Like, that's just the nature of it. I mean, you don't see skaters wearing helmets out in the street all that often either. It's the same thing. Like,
no, except they're going to probably in the next 5 to 10 years see a lot more skaters with CTE.
Yeah,
but
for sure. But
the day that study comes out and I can be a part of it, I'm signing up. Be like, snowboarders with CTE, sign me up. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, you were right though. It just seems like the reaction wasn't what they were going for.
And like. Did it correlate to anything?
I think that they were going to do it, use that rail as like a finisher for some urban part he was working on. I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Like,
but he's hit gnarlier rails.
Yeah, like it just kind of came out of nowhere. And even now knowing that it's got that, it has the actual Rocky parody to it, I was just kind of like, I just feel so random. Like, that's not attached to anything. It's not relevant. It's not like there's a Rocky movie coming out.
No,
like,
I don't think he was doing it for his real street part, was he, for the X Games?
I wouldn't imagine so.
Which, who knows? Did they even do real street this year for X Games?
I don't know.
I feel like they didn't. Instead, they just did the knuckle huck.
Maybe, which was dope.
Which was probably awesome. The best thing about X Games. I didn't even watch it. I just watched the clips.
This is the only year they're going to be able to do it. Yeah. Because Marcus is going to be healthy next year, and no one's going to beat Marcus at knuckle huck.
There were some good variations in there.
Sure, but like Marcus fucking invented that shit.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, people have been doing it, but he perfected it. That's for sure.
I mean, he started doing crazier shit on knuckles than anybody has ever seen before. Yeah. Like if he gets half of what he can do, then he's going to win knuckle huck. But anyways, yeah, Seb rail not received well. I think Redbull kind of screwed that one up.
It's okay. They'll throw money at something else.
I don't know. Seb's a fucking athlete. I think that's my opinion on Seb too. He's just a fucking athlete.
Whole generation of them out there now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go look for another topic.
Topic number 2.
All right. So, second topic.
Yep.
Super stoked for this because he's a personal friend of mine.
Yeah.
David Zemens, Sabato Caputo, and they did what they call the Snowball Run in Michigan.
Yeah.
16 resorts, 24 hours. Would have been 17, but climate change kind of shut one down. But they did it. They got 16 resorts in 24 hours in the state of Michigan. Now, I think the record is held over in Europe, and I think it is 17 or maybe 18 over in Europe. But it's like France, where all these little resorts you can go. It's
all right there.
It's all like in 2 valleys or 3 valleys area. And so these guys, I think they said it was like almost 500 miles they had to drive.
I believe it.
And but what set them off was one of the resorts, I think it was Cabernet Peaks or something, or one of them, was open for 24 hours or 48 hours. So they were able to start later to bang it out, and they were able to hit a few there. But they were... Dave is the quintessential weekend warrior snowboard media guy. Like, he's got 2 kids. He lives in the burbs of Detroit, I think, or Grand Rapids or somewhere up there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Michigan's all one area to me. It's either Detroit or Mount Brighton. That's it. That's all it is to me.
Which is all one little corner down. For reference, there we go. That's all literally like right here. So there's all of this plus the UP that's apparently not in Avran's mind.
Well, yeah, you can get from Detroit to Mount Bohemia in 40 minutes in my world.
Yeah.
Not an 8-hour drive by any means. Not at all. No. So I'm super stoked for them. They did it. This is something Dave and I talked about for 6 years because they did a snowball run in Vermont. Pat Bridges and someone did for Snowboarder Mag. And I think they got 10 resorts in 24 hours or something like that, or 14. It was something like that, but it was Vermont, and they did all of Vermont. And Dave had been planning this for years. At one point, I was actually going to try to fly out years ago and go do this, but the Michigan Ski Tourism, whatever they are, or Ski Area Association, were able to help those guys get everything together. They actually had someone volunteer to be a driver for them, which totally helps. Because then, they just get in the Jeep and go.
Yeah.
And, but they said that next year they want to try to break the world record and get in Guinness. Which I am 100%
support.
I will I will totally sponsor them. I will send Dave gas cards. I'll be like, dude, here's gas cards. What do you want? You know, like,
oh yeah.
You know, I'm stoked. I'm actually going to ride with Dave on Monday and Tuesday at Copper. So.
Oh, he's going to be out here.
Yeah, he came out for SAA, and then, you know, the on snow isn't right after, so he's like, well, I thought it was on snow. I guess I'll just go snowboard.
Dope.
I'm like, cool. See you at Copper.
Yeah.
So, but it's a really cool thing because if you're one of those people that just wants to do something fun, I've always joked about doing the Peaks Pass Challenge for the East Coast. Yeah. So that's like Big Boulder, Jack Frost, Hunter, Mount Snow. You know, it's Attitash. They've got a bunch on their Drifter Pass and stuff. And I've always joked about doing a 24-hour from Big Boulder all the way up through Vermont, New Hampshire, and stuff back down to Big Boulder type thing. But it's one of those things that if you wanted to do that challenge, you could do it. Honestly, I'm surprised someone hasn't done it in New York State because they have the most ski resorts of any state. I mean, granted, they're super far apart, so you would probably have to get a helicopter.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But whatever. The last time I rode a helicopter in New York, it was Flight for Life. But it's a cool concept, and I remember, God, years and years and years ago. The fuck is his name? He lives in Blue River here. He was a pro snowboarder with Shadow. Did the backflip rail. I want to say it's Nate Holland, but I know it's not Nate. Oh, Brent Meyer. That's it. Brent Meyer did like. He did like Echo, Aspen, Keystone Brack, Copper. Like he did like the whole state of Colorado.
Yeah. Type
one. I've thought about it for the state of Colorado. Between the Epic and Icon Pass, you could theoretically pretty much hit the state of Colorado. It's one of those things. I mean,
and granted, it was for rich people, but the Vail did the Epic Challenge that one year.
They did,
and it wasn't obviously 24 hours. It was the whole season.
It was the whole season, and that thing they screwed.
It was like the first 6 people to hit every one of the resorts that was on the full Epic Pass got Epic Passes for life.
No, was it for life? I thought it was for a year.
No, it was life.
It was life?
Yeah, if you were the first 6 people to do it. But then it included Japan and France and Switzerland. Like, you had to have money.
You had to have X number of vertical feet, and you had to hit all these lifts and stuff. That's his name, Jason. I can't think of his last name. That lived in Vail. Him and his son went and did it with his wife, and then they ran into some issues over in France, and then I think Vail called it off or something like that because some people were cheating, and or there was like this gray. I don't know. It was a weird thing. Still, no one's going to have more vertical than Nate Dogg.
Nope.
Never, ever. But Dave Sabato, I'm stoked for you guys.
Congrats.
Yeah,
that's
next year, I hope you guys actually do make it in Guinness. Dave, I'll talk to you on Monday, which you probably won't even have heard this podcast by then because I probably won't have edited it.
Probably not.
But we'll talk about maybe getting a little Angry sponsorship in there or something if I had to buy some gas cards or something.
For sure.
For you guys. But I definitely want to support that next year. It's an awesome thing.
That's right.
I think it's something that stokes out the weekend warrior rad dads and awesome moms out there that just like, you know, it's something that they could do on a weekend with their kids or something.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to leave that topic right there.
All right. So before you found this, had you ever heard of the manual?
No.
Neither have I.
Don't know what it is.
They apparently have a gear list. So they call it a gear list.
They do call it a gear list.
I wouldn't call it a gear list.
Oh my God.
It is also supposed to specifically be for snowboarding. The amount of times that they said, like, the model name of a snowboard followed by Snowboard. So, like, one of them was the GNU Hyper Progressive Air Machine, which, for one, they spelled that out. And, like...
Spam.
It's just the spam, guys. Come on. And they called it the GNU Hyper Progressive Air Machine Snowboard.
Well, I gotta stop you here.
I think we know it's a snowboard.
The best snowboarding brands and our top men's gear picks from each.
Right.
I feel like someone sent me this, but I can't remember. But it was pretty funny because it's like, this is totally written for just people that are mentally retarded that don't snowboard. So it's Burton, Weston Backcountry, Mervyn Manufacturing, Ride, which the Ride one was funny. Beginning with just 4 models in 1992, Ride emerged on the scene with a vision to create a company and a brand for the people. Since its inception, the brand has expanded to include outerwear, bindings, boots, and bags. Having recently relocated to Seattle, Washington, K2 bought them in the 90s. The 90s! And expanded to a new facility in Asia. K2 has been in Asia since the 90s.
Long time.
Ride has remained true to its original vision while becoming an industry leader. No mention of K2 buying them. I mean, this is it. Then right after Ride, we get Spider, the ski company.
The ski company.
Yeah.
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 And, like, who tipped... Like, that's the other weird thing, is who tipped these guys off to Weston? Like, if they're throwing Spider into the mix for a snowboard gear thing,
yeah,
how do they even know about Weston?
It's
like,
such a weird list.
I like Weston, don't get me wrong. They make some
great boards.
But, like, I don't know. That's just
I mean,
weird.
other things on the list are like Dakine, Sweet Protection, Smith Optics, GoPro, Spy. You know, it's Spider, like, it's fucking snowboarders.
Yeah,
when I
you don't know your market at all if you're throwing Spider onto a snowboard list.
Which I feel like for the last few podcasts, all we've been doing is shitting on other people's lists.
Yeah, well there's a lot of bad ones out there.
Oh my god. I feel like maybe every year we should just wait in the fall until there's like all these other lists, and then we'll do our lists of the worst lists.
We should do that.
That might be the new thing that we do. It'll be a podcast special.
Yeah.
It'll be like the Star Wars 1977 or 78 holiday Christmas special.
Yeah.
Which you can watch on YouTube, and I do not recommend because it's awful.
That's when Boba Fett was introduced, though.
It was.
There's at least one redeeming value to it.
Yeah, no, there was that. I don't know. I've watched it in its entirety as an adult. I
haven't watched it as an adult. I watched it as a kid. A long time ago.
No, it only ever aired once. So whoever you watched
it from, on VHS or something.
No, it must have been a bootleg copy because they never released it. George Lucas destroyed it.
Yeah.
Well, like he I'm surprised he hasn't remade it 7 times and tried to repackage it and sell it.
George Lucas never understood what he made.
But he's a visionary filmmaker now. He's gone back to his roots. Yeah. Fuck you, George. But yeah, this list, I mean, it's just so fucking wonky.
And every time you click on a link of one of the products, it just goes to the brand page. It doesn't even go to like a shop or anything. Like, what is this list for? Who is it for? Like, what is the manual? I didn't bother to look, I'll be honest. I don't even know what they do.
I'm trying to figure out what they do, but their website is wanky.
Yeah, like...
About Us. Let's see if that works. Why is this not loading? Is their website just that bad?
Maybe it's not real. Is it a practical joke? Did somebody send this to us as a joke?
I don't know. There's the best documentaries on Netflix. Best food documentaries on Netflix.
Ooh.
Best vodka mixers. Must reads. How to smoke a cigar. Cut, light, puff, inhale.
Like, don't inhale. That hurts. And don't do it.
Always inhale.
Oh, God, no.
I haven't smoked a good cigar in years.
I've only smoked one. I did not much enjoy it.
The last time I actually smoked a cigar was at Kevin's wedding. Other Kevin. That you don't know.
How many Kevins do you know?
Too many. It's like Jordans. Yeah. I accumulate people named Kevin and Jordan in my life.
Very weird.
Like, you know it's bad when you have to be like, no, black Jordan, not white Jordan. No, female Jordan, not white female Jordan. Yeah. No, then I have to be like trans Jordan, because I have a friend Jordan that was a guy and is now a girl. And be like, trans Jordan. You know, this is my life. Like, I literally have to describe which Jordan I'm talking about. Yeah, their website just does not want to load. Fuck it.
So, this is normally the part of the list bashing where we say, please ignore this list. It's giving bad advice or something to that degree. But this literally isn't telling you anything. It's just saying, this is a brand and this is some things they make.
Yeah.
So, I guess if you find this... If you find usefulness out of this, please leave a comment and tell us how. Because I don't see how this is useful to anyone. I don't even see how it's a detriment to anybody. It's literally a nothing.
It's like a Wikipedia page that hasn't been updated since like 2000.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
It's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of it was.
I'm just freaking lost. So I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Done.
Okay, so been some interesting news. Last year, Sims did the TK Pro board. Maybe it was 2 years. I think it was last year, though, is when they announced it.
Yeah, last year.
And then they put Chris Roach on the team after D-Day imploded because Nico Nolan's a pile of shit. Fuck that guy. I know other people can't say it, but what's he going to do? Hit me with his lawyer? He can suck a fart out of my ass. So anyways, Terry Kidwell is now on Smokin', and Chris Roach is now on Academy. They just sent out a press release. So if Chad O has the graduate, I think his is called the Masters or something like that, and part of it goes to the Revert Foundation, which part of the proceeds of it goes to the Revert Foundation, which is his foundation to help get kids on snow. But the big question is, what the fuck is up with Sims? Now, there is a catalog. Yeah. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Three boards.
3 boards. 2 men's, 1 women's.
Yep. And it looks like they're promoting more of the Japanese thing, which someone hit me up.
I think that's pretty much the only riders they got left. Are the Japanese
riders. No, they were promoting like Ryan Flaska and stuff out of Utah, but I know we said that we weren't really going to talk gear in this, so we're not going to talk about the gear Sims. We're just going to be talking about
more or less
the brand. But someone hit me up and said that Hillary Sims was done with it, so I don't know if they're just running out contracts. Because didn't Tadashi sign with them?
Yeah, he signed with them last year. Yeah. He left Yes to go ride Sims.
That was a big mistake.
Yes, it was.
But I know that Mark Vitelli, who was the brand manager forever, isn't there anymore. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. Mark's someone that, like, when we run into each other, it's like we're old friends, and we will just catch up and talk, and I've made laps with and stuff.
Yeah, Vitelli's a good dude.
Vitelli's just an awesome, like, he's the quintessential, he's probably the best person, in my opinion, to represent a brand as a brand manager, because he literally just snowboards. You know, he's like that guy. But it's really curious to see what's going on with the brand. Because, like, I remember last year when I was talking to Kidwell, and he's like, yeah, dude, got my old, like, new version of my old board, and it's cool to have a pro model again, and I'm stoked, and they're having me.
He seemed pretty happy.
He was, and he was like, they're making me like a brand ambassador where I just go out to shops and I go and ride with the people.
Yeah.
And now he's on Smokin', which Smokin' makes sense. I mean, he lives in Tahoe. Smokin' is a Tahoe brand. He's known Jay for 30 years, probably, maybe longer. I don't know. You know, Smokin's been around 20-something years, 22 years, something like that, 20, somewhere in there. Over 2 decades, or at least 2 decades. And to see him go there, and then I don't know if you looked at the announcement for Roach, but his board literally looks like a sim shape for Academy, which makes sense because it's Never Summer that's making Academy's boards.
Which made Sims, so they probably just honestly slapped the graphic on it.
Yeah. Just slap the Academy.
They can do that.
Yeah, so they can.
I'm wondering if she's selling Sims. And that's where they're at right now, is they're trying to cut back on costs to sell the brand easier.
Maybe, or maybe it was... Maybe she was just like a figurehead because Tom's passed, and actually there's like some other investors. Like, I wonder if Tadashi actually put his money into Sims.
Maybe that could make some sense. Why would he leave Yes and his old Ink crew to go ride for Sims?
I know, especially when Yes is having its 10th anniversary,
and they're not doing nothing but growing.
Like they're crushing.
Yeah, they're doing well. They're doing really well right now. So
I don't know. It begs the question of what's going. And
it feels weird.
Well, and it was funny because I was in the lift line at Loveland in the preseason, and some of the local guys at Loveland were like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Sims. They're not giving us boards anymore, and it's just going to Japan." It was like all hearsay that I heard, and I was just listening to the guy. It's just like, this is really weird because I got hit, and it's funny because like the regional guys that rode for Sims here, like Italo and Ruby, and like people that I've known that have been on Sims for a little while, they're all on Rome now. Like they've all just been like, oh well, we're on the Brad Godbell program now, and it's you know, they went from Sims to Rome like that overnight.
Yeah,
and just really weird, like. You know, and Sims does not have the best track record. It's like they're just like up and down and up and down. And, you know, they had that Sports Authority deal, and it's really weird to see. Like, is Sims going to be here? Is it not going to be here? Is this Is 2020 the last year of Sims? You know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe you'll hear something when you're down at the trade show this weekend.
Yeah, I'll keep my ears open and see what's going on. I don't know if I'll.
Yeah.
I don't think I know anybody over there. So I don't know if I'm going to step in, but
yeah, it's just going to be all Never Summer guys,
right? So I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to see what's happening and what kind of stuff it might point to.
Right.
Yeah. Whether it points to death or selling or downsizing, or maybe Tadashi is basically taking the brand over and that's why it's going to Japan. I don't know. Because I know and that's one of the other, that actually makes some sense, because then the Japanese, Chinese, and Korean markets, as snowboarding grows and grows over there, the counterfeit product is becoming a bigger issue. So U.S. made stuff is huge over there because the production of it looks totally different than what comes out of China, and they can't duplicate it. I mean, I'm sure they could if they really tried to, but they're not going to because it's more expensive to do.
They'd have
And
to
you have to
downgrade their
machines.
quality.
So that's not going to happen. So they sell really fast and really well over there, the U.S. made stuff. I know from working at Signal, like, we would make special graphics for the Korean market. Like,
well, that was the whole thing.
Everything that went over to that market had to be absolutely perfect. Like, so it kind of would make some sense on Tadashi's end, to basically take a brand over that's made at a U.S. factory, because that's got a lot of consumer draw over there.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you say, Signal did well over there, but what people don't forget is Signal was spawned from Supernatural, which was an offshoot of Mervyn, and that was Dave Lee and Matt Hammer that did that. But they had unprecedented, like 300% growth year over year in Korea or something, because that Korean market was exploding. And now China's middle class has just emerged over there. Like, they're just like going for it. And I was talking with my friend Gray, and he's going to China to be like this ambassador type person and show people what U.S. snowboarding is all about over there. And it's like, it's China is going to be the next market that saves snowboarding. Yeah. So definitely. That Asian market over there. But what is going on with Sims? I don't know. Maybe we need to resurrect the snowboard brand Deadpool and pull that one up. It's been over a year since we did that podcast in the old format. Yep. So maybe we need to pull up the brand Deadpool, and maybe we should just do a Deadpool topic. Maybe the next, not the product preview podcast, but the one after that. Maybe we can do that. So if you guys want us to do that, just leave a comment down below or wherever you're listening to this, and maybe we'll check it. I don't know. So. Maybe. But we're going to move on to another topic.
Moving on to some women's snowboarding news. Kelly Clark is retiring.
From competitive snowboarding.
Not from snowboarding, but from competitive snowboarding. So she's not going to be competing in contests.
Yeah, and her and Donna Carpenter have been working on a new board that's like powderish freestyle for the next leg of her career. You know they're not going to get rid of her after 20 years.
Oh, no way.
And she's the most winning women's snowboarder competitively. Yeah. Because she 20 years of competitions and stuff. I mean, she went to, 4 Olympics, I think? 3 Olympics, 4 Olympics, something like that.
Something like that.
And, by the way, this podcast, now brought to you by Twizzlers.
They don't taste that great, but they're fun to eat.
It's like eating plastic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so she's moved into this new phase of her career where she's going to be riding more POW, which will be easier on her body. She won't have to ride. She won't have to travel as much to, go compete. She'll be able to travel and just go ride POW. Right. Which is good. I mean, I think the one cool thing to see from competition riders that are half-pipe riders into the backcountry and into powder is they have so much fucking edge control. Yeah. That it's phenomenal. So I really want to see the lines that she chooses and how she adds to it.
I'm really curious to see where that goes, and I am actually excited to see what she's going to do with this, because she could turn this into a pretty big push for women's snowboarding in the backcountry, and freeriding. There's a couple girls out there, Robin Van Gien and MFR, that are really pushing that backcountry style
Leanne
riding.
Pelosi.
Leanne's pushing it again too.
Ani Boulanger, and Fleur Marxer.
Yeah, there's some chicks out there that are finally starting to push it out there, but to see, to get somebody of, Kelly's caliber and notoriety too. That's the other big thing is, we just named all those people, but how many average people even know who those people are? Nobody knows who those people are, except core snowboarders or people that are paying attention to snowboarding. Even people that are paying attention to snowboarding, women's snowboarding gets so much less coverage that how many people could name Robin Van Gien?
It's okay. One thing someone did point out to me was that I think it was Alan Russell, a super fan, pointed this out to me that he was watching X Games because he watches everything. That someone during her whole ceremony at X Games, they referred to her as the most influential snowboarder of all time. I really want to choke. If that is true, I want to choke that person and be like, you do not understand influential. Like, I'm going to bet Shaun White is more influential.
Oh, 100%.
Travis Rice is more influential. Most influential woman?
You might have a leg to stand on there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are others on that caliber that deserve that thing. But I think currently, yes, for women's, probably. Mm-hmm. I need to go read her book, too, even though I heard it's full of all sorts of snake cult shit about Jesus.
I don't know. But, yeah, like, no, like, and we really mean no offense to Kelly in this. Like, she's phenomenal. She's honestly been great for women's snowboarding. She's a phenomenal rider. We're stoked to see her in the next phase of her career here. But calling her one of the most influential, or calling her the most influential rider, if that was the case, it's pretty much just flat out ignorant. Like,
well, then again, it's the X Games, and some of their announcers and people there are fucking retards.
Dude. Yeah. Bad. Yeah.
But if she's going to go more into like that Dave Downing, like kind of ambassador working on gear type thing with Donna Carpenter working on specific lines, I'm curious to see what kind of boards are going to come out, because I think that there is a demand for boards for women that really push it. And let's be honest, Kelly's not, like, if you ever saw photos, they would, like, take the Olympic girls and they would put, like, the cuter ones at the front, and Kelly was always in the back.
Yeah.
She's a very handsome woman. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's a polite way to put that.
You know, she's a very handsome woman.
Yeah.
But she also has a different, like, body structure to her than most girls do. Mm-hmm. And there are those women out there that need a stiffer, beefier board. And to see her be like, well, we're going to tweak this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, to get into that role, you know, she, in my opinion, was definitely a contest jock, but contest jocks tend to be a little more educated than urban riders, in my opinion. Like, they're the ones that they haven't quite smashed their head into the ground as much.
Yeah.
Which means that they tend to work a little bit better with product development. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that she will be able to really drive the women's line in a different direction. You know?
I'm definitely looking forward to, maybe even this year, as far as or 2020, I should say. Looking forward to 2020 in the family tree line for the women to see what she may have had an influence on with that. If she was planning on retiring, I don't know if this was planned 6 months ago, I think probably after, doing it at X Games, it kind of makes some sense. I guess maybe I would have planned U.S. Open.
Yeah,
being a Burton rider. But, whatever.
But here's the thing. The Open always gets powder. So then if she's there and she's now this powder person, she's going to go
do that instead.
She's going to go ride the Minturn Mile with Jake and all them and end up out in Minturn.
Right.
So
if we don't see anything for 2020 out of the family cheering line that's heavily influenced by Kelly, then I'll be really excited to see what we get for women's, like, freeride powder shapes out of the family tree line in 2021 because of Kelly's influence. I'm going to be really excited.
Well, either that or we'll get some late release stuff.
You might get, there's always that possibility too.
So
like, I would be stoked to see, like, a freeride power-oriented, like, basically Kelly Pro model.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I think it's needed in the industry.
Yeah, no. Fully agree with you on that.
I'd definitely be in support of that.
But thank you for the last 20 years of your service.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
20 years. Don't you get a gold watch with that?
You should.
Yeah.
Gold watch, I think.
Yeah, isn't that what they used to give you in the 50s? And
then 20 years you can be.
You worked for 20 or 25 years, then you retired, then you died 3 years later.
Yeah, I mean, competing for 20 years is something. That's something right there. So
she competed longer than Chloe Kim's been alive.
Yeah.
Just let that one sink in.
Yeah.
So, all right, no. Good for her. Let's move on to another subject here.
Yeah.
So, after 35 days, the government shutdown in the United States has ended. But during that...
The shutdown's essentially on hold.
For 3 weeks.
It's ended for 3 weeks. We won't get into the politics of that. Anyways, continue.
Anyways, during the shutdown, Mad River Glen in Vermont, one of the last 3 resorts that does not allow snowboarding, was offering free tickets to furloughed government employees so that they could have something to do with their time. Personally, I would have been looking for a job that isn't by the government because I like money. Yes. But that's it. But you want to talk about the ultimate kick to the dick? Like, you're just kicking them in the gut while they're down here. You're basically telling every snowboarder that works for the government, you're not good enough.
Yep.
But your friends that ski are. Which, it's 2019. Do we really need resorts that are ski only?
I mean, unless you're the Cimarron Club and your entry fee is millions of dollars and your season pass is $60,000 at that point, whatever. I don't give a shit what you do with your land. But a general resort like Mad River, even if it is a co-op, like, come on, fuck off. Just, like, somebody saved your asses. Like,
and that's the funny thing is, like, so I got an email 2 weeks ago from Icon Pass. Jesus, Kevin, why don't you just grab a whole handful of Twizzlers?
I did.
Yeah, clearly.
Uh-huh.
This was not a good idea.
Nope, great idea.
Worst idea ever. But I got an email from the Icon Pass saying, please come to Deer Valley, stay with us, and book now, and your lodging's this, this, and this. And I was like, why do you want me to stay there? I can't even fucking ride there.
Yep.
I pay for a pass that 2 resorts I can't even go to.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. All the other perks are worth it. But still.
Yeah.
I feel like if there's going to be one way to end this fucking no snowboarders allowed at Alta and Deer Valley, it's going to be because they're on the Icon Pass and we're all going to bitch and moan.
Yeah, because you're effectively paying for something you can't use at that point.
I'm kind of waiting to see if there'll be like a class action lawsuit or something.
I just hope it doesn't negatively affect Icon at that point. Because, you know, who do you go after at that point? Do you go after Alta and Deer Valley for not allowing snowboarding, or do you go after Icon for charging you for 2 mountains you can't go to?
They tried that in federal court in Utah, and they couldn't do it.
Right.
Or they got thrown out. I can't remember what it was, but it was...
There's a discrimination piece.
Yeah, it was. It was Benny Pellegrino from Milo that was one of the guys on it. And I was all for it. I'm like, fuck them. They're on federal land. Like, you're basically... You know, that's like saying that I can't pray to Allah or whatever or some shit. It's essentially just a form of prejudice and racism or bigotry, if you will. And that's it. And it's the same thing that's going on with Mad River Glen. You're basically, oh, we want to help you poor government employees. Oh, go fuck yourself, you ride a snowboard.
Yeah.
So now you're just sort of like, well, I have no paycheck. I can't snowboard. I guess I'll just go hike this golf course.
Yeah, like just because our piece of wood and plastic is in one piece and yours is in 2.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, do you know the reason why they don't allow snowboarding at Mad River?
No.
They used to allow it. And except they have an old one-person chair, or maybe it might be a 2-seater, I can't remember, but the way it comes around the bull wheel when snowboarders push off, it would push it's so old, it would push, the weight would distribute unevenly on the cable.
Uh-huh.
So they weren't allowed to ride one chairlift there back there. No, so the owner's wife was at the grocery store. I think this is how it goes. She was at the grocery store, and these 2 snowboarder guys accosted her for it and were screaming profanities at her, calling her all sorts of names because they weren't allowed to ride the one chair. So she went in, and they was like, no snowboarding after that.
Well, fuck those guys.
They're probably dead now. Their kids probably ski.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
And don't eat Twizzlers and have a podcast.
Nope. We do, though.
We do.
Twizzlers.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah, like... I mean, I guess I appreciate the fact that they were trying to be nice to whatever, and that's great and all, but, like... I guess the general thing here is, why the fuck don't you allow snowboarding?
I don't know. Taos does now.
It's 2019, guys. Freaking cool.
You're losing money. I mean, you would think in this economy, you would want money from anyone that you could.
Right.
Especially when you're in a luxury industry, because let's be honest, not being allowed at a ski resort is a total first world problem.
Yes, it is.
Right. Yeah.
And it's people with money's first world problem.
Speaking of first world problems, I got a great story from this past week. I had a guy have a full-blown meltdown at the liquor store because we didn't have bags with handles. I mean he had a full-blown fucking nuclear meltdown, screaming about how we couldn't have a bag with handles, which we've never had bags with handles. We have brown paper bags. You can put the thing in there, roll the top, and hold it. And as this guy was having his full-blown meltdown on me, I went into zero fucks mode, which you know how when that happens with me, you're never going to win that battle.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and he's just screaming at me. I was like, do you want me to go get you a bag? So I go and get him a paper bag. And he said, how do you expect me to carry this? I get quiet. I look down. I look up at him. I look down again, and I go, you look like an able-bodied man with 2 functioning hands, so I'd hope with your hands. I mean, I know as a man that's how I carry things, but I'm not you, and you seem to be lesser than me. That didn't go over well with him. He started screaming some more, so I had to finally kick him out. He's like, call the cops, and I was like, okay, that's a trespass charge. You're going to lose.
We had a guy return a pair of pants that he bought that were too big, and the reason basically boiled down to they were in the large pant section on our clearance rack, and they were double extra larges, and it's our fault. So it was our fault he didn't check the size on his pants.
Right, it's like the people that sued McDonald's for getting fat.
Yup.
But
go America.
We're just over here suffering from first world problems. Meanwhile, Flint, Michigan still doesn't have water.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, so much for
screw resorts that don't allow snowboarding.
Exactly. They should just get fist fucked with a razor blade glove.
Avran said it.
I say a lot of things. I don't remember saying them, but people quote me then. It's really weird. You are just losing it over here. Fine. The South Korean Olympic.
That's right. That's right. Good old South Korea. Yeah, so South Korean Olympics happened in last year. And Shaun White won half pipe with a boot grab. And now they want to demolish the entire venue for the downhill area. And is it the half pipe area too, or is it just the skiing area?
I think it's just the skiing area. Well, they want to leave the runs, but they want to. So if
right,
they ever have
destroy the buildings.
But they're going to destroy all the buildings. But the funny thing was to like cut the runs and stuff. They had to chop down some 100-year-old growth trees.
500-year-old.
Was it that old?
That's what I read.
Oh God, it's 500-year-olds.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was only 100-year-olds. Still, they cut down all these trees to clear this area, and they dumped all this. The fucking Olympics is the biggest cash boondoggle in the world.
It's fucking retarded.
It's corrupt as shit. I fucking hate the Olympics.
The only one that might be worse would be the World Cup.
They're corrupt too.
They're just as corrupt, and I don't know which one costs more money, either World Cup or Olympics.
They're probably on the same level. Well, I don't know. What did they spend? $50 billion in Russia?
I have no idea.
But whatever. They were giving Putin over the pants hand jobs.
Yep.
So
anyways, yeah, they had to cut down a bunch of old growth forest in order to cut those runs.
Oh.
And then they built the whole lower village, whatever. And I guess there was an agreement with the Korean Forest Service that they were just that it was planned to just be demolished after it was used.
Yeah, I think it was going to last it was 18 months or something after, and then they were going to leave the slopes so people could go there, and then that way if they ever have to host the Olympics again,
they already have the runs.
They have the runs, and then all they have to do is build the infrastructure again. But I was like, man, that just seems so.
It seems like a giant waste of money, and realistically, yeah, you might have to, swallow a little bit more destruction to the surrounding forest to a degree, but just keep it open and push the tourism dollars and negotiate for the tourism dollars that come in to go towards the Forest Service.
Right.
You could use that to benefit you as the Forest Service instead of just spending all of this money as a country and then you're literally wasting it. Because you don't make any money when you host the Olympics as a country. You don't make any money. None of that money, that's part of the reason the whole corrupt thing of it, and I know it's the case with FIFA too, is all the money that gets brought in from the Olympics. I mean, granted, yeah, some of the local restaurants, that kind of thing, but generally speaking, the money that comes in from the Olympics goes to the IOC. It doesn't go to the host country.
No.
So it didn't benefit them at all, and they're literally built buildings to waste money, is apparently the contract they signed, which just doesn't make any sense.
No, it's so funny. But I just can't believe, you built this whole thing to and then now you're just going to demolish it. But then again, you look at like Sochi.
Mm-hmm.
They built that huge mega-ass resort, and it's empty. It's completely fucking empty. There's just stray dogs roaming. Which I heard the snow is amazing. We should go to Sochi. It's probably really cheap.
It could be free.
Well, is the resort still running?
We might need guns, though.
It's Russia. Don't they just sell AKs at the corner store?
I think they give you one when you get off the plane.
So it's like Texas.
You know, like Hawaii when you get a flower away.
Yeah.
They just hand you an AK when you get off the plane.
Oh, so it's like when you go to Texas and they just hand you a handgun.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh. I can get down with that.
Yeah.
We just have to drive cars from like the 1970s, right?
Yeah.
I can get down with that.
May or may not have asbestos in them.
Asbestos is only bad when it crumbles and gets dust on you. If it's cocooned, it's fine. I grew up in a house full of asbestos, radon gas, and lead paint near a nuclear storage facility.
Plus, you're going to get Alzheimer's because you've had so many brain injuries. I worked in a snowboard factory, so there's a good chance I'm going to get lung cancer. So who cares?
We're going to be dead in the next 4 years.
No.
But we're still eating Twizzlers on the podcast.
I mean, Red Dawn may happen, for all we know. Kim Jong may just take over.
See, I don't like that remake of Red Dawn. But the funny thing is, we do live in Colorado, which in the original Red Dawn, I mean, your dad worked at NORAD.
Well, sort of. What was at NORAD is now at Peterson, where he works.
Semantics.
Close.
It's whatever.
He works on the same Air Force base as Space Command.
Is that where Space Force is going to be?
God, I hope so. I want to join Space Force. Can I join Space Force? Leave a comment.
Space Force!
I will definitely put my application in for Space Force if it ever actually becomes a thing. Also, what happened to Space Force? We're way off topic now.
Well, no, Steve Carell's now going to be in a TV show on Netflix.
Yeah, The Office in space, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the Space Force announcement happened. And then, like, that was news for about a month, and then we've heard nothing about it since. Literally nothing.
It's because they've already invaded the moon.
Man, I hope so.
They're building a wall around the planet. They're building a wall around. It's okay.
That's where the real wall money's going towards, is building a wall in between the Earth and the moon.
It's okay. You got to appreciate the fact that during all this, scientists came out and they're like, we could just we could just shoot chemicals into the sky to block out the sun so climate change doesn't happen. And I was like, you mean we're going to have the plot of Highlander 2, The Quickening?
Also, Matrix.
Fuck the Matrix. I don't care about the Matrix. They ripped it off.
Anyway.
The Wachowskis are awful. Fuck them. Watch Dark City instead.
I liked Equilibrium.
With Christian Bale?
Yeah.
That was 1984 with guns.
I know, I liked it.
What does this have to do with anything?
No, it doesn't. This has nothing to do with snowboarding or Korean snowboarding or Korean Olympics.
You're killing me here,
I know, our tangent went way off.
Well.
You said Space Force. This is your fault.
Whatever, man. I'm still waiting for History of the World Part 2 so we can get Jews in space.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely going to happen.
Isn't Mel Brooks dead?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Anyways.
Okay.
So that's the Korean Olympic site. It's being demolished. It was a giant waste of money. I don't know why they're using it. I don't know why they're not using it to make money. Yep.
Yeah.
Synopsis.
Good old capitalism.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. So, we've got a Twitter submitted question, which is really rare because I hate using Twitter. I hate social media.
I don't know why anyone uses Twitter anymore. That's such a weird
to follow President Trump and see the ramblings of a man that is detached from reality. Anyways, so Twitter follower Dennis E. Taylor, which, by the way, if you love sci-fi and like sci-fi operas, he's a writer. His whole Bobverse universe, whatever, is such. It's a great trilogy of books. It's one of my favorite sets of sci-fi that I've read in recent years. And believe me, I've read a lot of William Shatner, so I know bad sci-fi.
Yes, you do.
I know bad sci-fi. Tech War, greatest William Shatner series ever written. But Dennis E. Taylor's books, you can get them on Amazon. I'll have a link down below. Dude's rad. He's supported us for years. He asked, preseason and in-season conditioning. In parentheses, he says, while lying on the couch moaning in pain. Well, that's your own fault, buddy. But for preseason, so last year I mangled my IT band and my patella tendon. I fully crushed them, basically. Locked my leg up for about 5.5 weeks. It would not bend fully, and I couldn't. It wasn't weight bearing, so lost a bunch of muscle. Worked with my doctor. We didn't want to go the route with surgery because because it's the IT band and the patella tendon. He's like, there's really not much we can do. We can clean out some of the scar tissue.
Tough.
IT is horrible. I basically stretched it and then tore it.
I've had problems with my IT bands ever since I was like 11.
Yeah. So I went the physical therapy route with this, and it was basically, the way I look at it is, you want to do yoga and keep yourself stretched, but you can go overboard with yoga. There's a lot of stretches that they have that are just completely fucking pointless.
Yeah.
So, you want to do any of the ones that really stretch the quads, the hip flexor, the calf, the IT band, anything like that that can really just kind of stretch it, keep it so it's not tight. So I did that, and then I rode the exercise bike a lot. Like, I would average about 10 miles every time I'd go to the gym.
Yeah, the bike is, I think, underestimated with a lot of people when it comes to rehab and strengthening your legs and knees, because it provides a good range of motion. Just make sure you're supplementing some dynamic movements as well, because you are essentially, to a degree, locked into a range of motion on a bike. So as long as you're supplementing with dynamic movement stuff, so the small supporting muscles are also getting strengthened. But yeah, the bike is amazing because it's zero impact. It gets full range of motion on your knees, so your knees moving a lot. It's really easy on all your structure. The bike is fantastic.
So we do the bike, and I did that for a while until I knew I could be more weight bearing. And then I basically did a lot of band exercises, just resistance bands, anything with resistance training. And then I went to basically the forward leg lift, the inverted leg lift, or leg squat, I guess is what you would call it. I did that, but I would do low weights with high repetition. So it tones you more than builds up your muscle. And that's kind of how I do everything. Like, when I went to the gym today, I biked about 3-4 miles, and then, I did a lot of core exercises. Core is always key. Like, people don't understand how much you actually use from your hips through your core to do everything. So I did a lot of core exercises, balance board, things like that, anything that you can get on. But I believe firmly in low weight, high repetition to just tone everything. Like, with me and because everyone's body is different, for me to gain weight is actually super easy. Like, if I want to gain weight, I can put my mind to it. And I did it this summer. I was just like eating protein and, just eating real lean, a lot of chicken, rice, broccoli, stuff like that. And I bulked up to 235 pounds by about middle of August, and I was like, oh shit, I am way too heavy for snowboard season. So then I dropped myself down to 195. So that's so then by losing that weight, I still had all this muscle. So now I'm just like this ball of muscle, which works. The other thing that they don't talk about is like collagen peptides. I take collagen peptides probably 4 or 5 times a week, usually in a smoothie or something, just to lubricate my joints. I take it with glucosamine chondroitin with MSM and hyaluronic acid. I was also doing the bone broth thing where I was drinking like a shot or like a rocks glass full of bone broth every day, boosting my immune system and doing that. And what I've noticed with the collagen peptides and everything is, one, I'm not eating as much ibuprofen for joint pain, and two, my joints they seem more fluid and they're not as blown out, and they're not as crunchy. Basically, I used to have a lot of cracking and popping in my knees before I could ride. I went from having to crack and pop my knee probably 5-6 times an hour to maybe I do it once a day now. So that's what I do. I think cardio is really good and key to build that up, especially for Colorado. Like, depending, like when I'm at the basin, it's just hot laps. It's like 2,000-3,000 vertical, depending on how I crisscross the mountain and stuff. it's not a lot. But when I go to Copper, I'll literally be in the east, at the top of the east peak off Super B, and I'll do a whole run and end at the bottom of the west peak over at Timberline. I mean, that's a couple miles on a snowboard.
Yeah.
So ripping around that mountain and stuff. So that's what I do. I know you run.
I run and I mountain bike. That pretty much covers. And then I do yoga. And I like that you brought that up as far as yoga is concerned. And what you have to understand with yoga is it was created by the Hindus in order to ascend to enlightenment through complete control over their own body. That's how yoga was invented. So there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't necessarily benefit you from an athletic standpoint. There's a lot of stuff out there that is absolutely phenomenal for you from an athletic standpoint. So you just have to get educated on it and just make sure you're using the right poses that actually are functional for that sense instead of just body control, but actually benefits your body.
Yeah, well, you also got to watch yourself because I'm convinced that yoga instructors, if this was the 1980s, would be aerobics instructors. There's a lot of people that just fucking want to live the lifestyle, but yeah, bunch of fucking new age nut jobs.
Yeah, and realistically, there's plenty of stuff out there like go to runnersworld.com and look for yoga stuff to do off of there. Go to Pink Bike. Occasionally they post some workout stuff and look for stuff there. Like, don't just Google yoga poses for this. Like, find a website of an established sport and then try to find a yoga workout that was promoted by those guys. You have a lot higher chance of it being actual functional athletic stretching in yoga poses versus just doing yoga.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I mountain bike and I run, and that's kind of all I really do at the moment. I used to go to the gym a lot more a couple of years ago, and definitely would probably rather get back into that. It's definitely when I felt the best.
You have a gym literally right across the street from your place.
Yes,
that's
I do.
24 hours. I go there.
Yep, I sure do. But I also just kind of want to get back into climbing too. Because I don't really like working out at all. I hate it, actually. That's why I'm mountain biking and run. Because I want to be in good shape, but I hate working out. I just don't. It just feels pointless to me. Because I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like, I'm lifting weights so I can lift more weights. It doesn't make my brain feel good.
See, I used to be like that. Because I was working out with my friend Tim, who's a police officer, so like he's all about being big and
scary.
He's scary.
He's not scary at all, but we loved him.
He's actually not even that big. But he gets pissed because I can put weight on faster than him. But I was like looking at how he was doing things, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And you're right. There is that whole mindset of like you start lifting weights to just lift more weights.
Yeah.
And that's so for me. I went like the opposite. To me, going into the gym is because I'm so always working on something. Like I realize I never have downtime.
Yeah.
Like I'm always working on something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dedicated hour to 2 hours where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go just do this stuff, and I can see like what I'm doing. But the other thing was I looked at like all these exercises people were doing, and I was like, that will never benefit you in snowboarding. Yeah. So I started working on, well, what's going to build my shoulder up so if I impact like this, it's not going to pop out again. Mm. So I did that, and I built up all these muscles. Like I have people in the gym that are like, that really doesn't do anything for what you're trying to do. And I was like, it does everything for me. Like I do this one like shoulder raise that I do where I pinch my shoulder blades, but it's not only with 50 pounds of weight, and just the way it pinches back there though, it's built up this muscle on my shoulder, so when I fall on my back, it just doesn't hurt. Like I can take a hit to the back and be like, ugh, that kind of hurt, but it didn't. It's like last Friday, it was a powder day at Copper. I smoked a tree. Shit happens. I fucking full-blown speared my left shoulder, which is my bad shoulder. Didn't pop out, didn't do anything. Just like, was like, ow, I hit a tree. But that's just because the way I built up like the muscle around the collarbone and just that whole capsule on my shoulder and everything. And it works. But I mean, The other thing is diet. I don't think people talk about diet, and diet and exercise matters a lot. So, like, if I eat a lot of sugar and then try to snowboard, my knees fucking hate me. Mm-hmm. They hate me. Which, eating all these Twizzlers, I'm dead tomorrow. Dead. But,
at least it doesn't have high fructose corn syrup.
No, that's the one that I really wish people would understand how bad high fructose corn syrup is for you. So, I'm allergic to it. It causes my arthritis to really flare bad. Like, small amount, I'm okay usually, but if it's something I didn't know it had it and I ate a bunch of it, I'm completely fucked. And that shit is in your bread. It's in your juices. It's in everything. So I've become a label reader knowing that. And the thing about high fructose corn syrup and the way that it works with your body and everything is like it basically coats around your fat cells and your body can't break it down, so you don't do it. So when I realized that I had this allergy to it and started taking it more seriously, I ended up losing, I think, 20 pounds. I went a little off the deep end the first 6 months that I had it, because I got down from, I was sitting at like 208, I think, and I got down to 153 or something.
That's like, really small for you.
Yeah, that's
what I weigh.
But I was eating nothing but fresh. I went on this weird diet where I was eating nothing but fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, and like was not cooking anything. It was like almost all raw, and I was like, I don't know about this. And that was also the same time I quit eating beef too.
Yeah.
And I still don't eat beef, but I'll eat red meat like bison and elk and stuff. So now I've kind of like figured out where I need to be with it. But your diet can have such an effect on your snowboarding too, and it's you can just be lethargic if you're eating like popping sugar and stuff. So it's like I try to find that perfect balance of things that I can eat and just work with it from there. But that's about all I've got for good old Dennis. But seriously, if you love sci-fi, you should go read his books. I will have a link down below. Like his books just, they're so full of pop culture and they're funny, and they're just good books. I would read them again in a heartbeat, and I've lent them to a bunch of my friends that are huge sci-fi guys, and they're like, this shit was absolutely hilarious. Never even heard of him. And I was like, yep, no, perfect. So yeah, check out his books. This past week, everyone and their brother has been tagging me on Instagram for a new product called Bottle Buddy.
Bottle Buddy!
Which is a cup holder for your snowboard. Which is the most god-awful freaking thing.
Can we actually... Let's say that again. It is a cup holder for your snowboard. Now let's take a moment of silence to let that sink in.
Yeah. A fucking cup holder.
Cup holder.
Cup holder. A all cup holder.
Why?
I just don't get why this thing fully exists. This makes...
Somebody put money and time and effort into that.
Yeah. It's so dumb. It's one of the dumbest things that I can even think of. Like, it mounts...
It's like a sticker, kind of.
I don't know. I saw one that had a screw. It looked like bolted? They screwed it into the board, but I doubt they did. But you never know. You
really don't know.
You never know what people are gonna do.
Yeah.
But it's just so bad. And the best was I called it out for being a stupid idea. And let's see. I think I got a screenshot of this somewhere, but because here it is. So I was like, this is crap. And this person decided to protest it. True, it's not for everyone, but don't knock it till you try it. I hate carrying a backpack, and I used to carry my drink in my pocket, which made me look chubby. And it's fallen out of my pocket. That sucked. Had Fireball in it. This gadget has become my favorite snowboard accessory. My only response to this person was, you're a kook. And they're like, I just noticed your handle. Why so angry? Because this is all on Instagram, and I was like, wow, on top of being a kook, you lack originality. Must suck to be basic. Anyone that drinks Fireball on the hill should just die, first off.
Yeah.
I fucking hope you're drinking like that windshield washer fluid shit. But, I mean, do you need a fucking cup holder on your snowboard? You can get one of those hydro flask, soft flasks that just fits in your bag. You could have a Camelback under your backpack. For me... Knowing, like, Copper's not a little mountain. It's not a big mountain. It's kind of like medium-ish.
Yeah.
But I know that at any given point, I'm never more than maybe 10 minutes from a base area where I can hit a drinking fountain.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, okay, I'm sorry this chick's fireball fell out of her pocket and it was making her look fat when it was in there. I get it. You ride Big Bear. But you know what? I can see the lodge from the top of the mountain.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Like
you're not... It's so fucking kooktacular, and all these people are just trying to be stoked about it, and it's just, I mean... It's
going to make your snowboard feel like shit.
You're just adding extra weight to this thing.
And you're adding weight in the tip.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I guess you could put it in the middle of your board. That way you can sit on it.
What, like that guy that made that bag that attached to the inside of your binding that did it?
Yeah.
This thing is just... It's so freaking kooky. The only way I want to see someone riding with one of these is if they've got, like, straight up Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville, giant margarita bowl with a swirly straw all the way up to their mouth, and they're just riding down the hill, sipping a margarita the whole way, and then they hit a tree and they die.
I was going to say a 40 of Mickey's.
That would be funny, too.
Yeah.
St. Ides, and then they have the Union St. Ides bindings.
Yep.
That would be funny.
Yep.
That would be really, really funny. But it's just... Who the fuck invented this?
I don't know.
Like, where are all these rich old white guys when I want to take their money?
I know, right?
Like, they're just like, oh, yeah, we're going to make a cup holder for a snowboard. Do you guys want to invest in a snowboard media operation? I can give you a whole business plan. We can talk. I can show you what we could turn a profit in 2 years. I guarantee it.
Yep.
Like, I could crush it for you, but no.
No, you're giving your money to Bottle Buddy.
Bottle Buddy. Yeah. Can we get Bottle Buddy put on one of those Bluetooth rotational bindings and just make it, like, stir my binding? Like, make martinis, just stirring them in circles. Don't die, Kevin.
Try not to.
Okay. Don't die. But this is just so freaking absurd to me.
It's so wet.
That this even exists. And it came from Southern California.
Oh, God, of course it did.
The Bermuda Triangle, baby.
Yep.
Just fucking SoCal. Like,
just
the worst.
churning out terrible snowboard ideas constantly.
I swear to God, if all you white people down there have nothing to do and you have money, let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk. I got ideas. I got so many ideas.
Yeah.
But, like, this thing is just such a pile of shit. Why would you want, like, your water bottle mounted to your snowboard? And I love how they're like, well, we made this design and it's like a cage and it holds it so you can hit jumps and it wouldn't come up. Yeah, because just what I want is my fucking board having differentiated weight when I'm going off a jump.
Yup. Man, I guess if the jump you're hitting are 2 feet, then it doesn't really matter.
Oh my God, I just...
Yup.
I mean, if the ideas like this are going to keep coming to fruition, I definitely need to off myself.
There's literally a company called Soft Flask.
Yeah.
And they fit in your jacket.
Yeah.
Because they're soft.
I hate people.
Yep.
I hate everyone. I fucking hate everyone.
Most people. There's a couple good ones.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to another
yes,
topic.
Let's do that. So we got an Instagram question from a Georgia Bridley.
Yes, at Georgia Bridley.
At Georgia Bridley. Basically just asking us to talk about greenwashing in snowboarding.
And eco-friendly snowboards.
Yeah, and eco-friendly snowboards. So this is definitely my forte. I am currently going to school for sustainability. I know a fair amount about this whole topic, basically. And I'll basically start with the conclusion on this one. And more or less the conclusion is I would rather see greenwashing of the industry than no eco-friendly stories at all. I think in the long run, the marketability of green product and sustainable products is in the long run a benefit to everyone, more than it is any sort of detriment because of greenwashing. Like, there are going to be those brands out there that aren't really making any sort of true efforts to push any sort of sustainability program, and are just using that to cash in. But the marketing viability behind it is definitely motivating more companies to do legitimate pieces behind it. Burton is one of the snow sports industry companies that's doing one of the more ambitious. They're very ambitious with their sustainability program. They're doing a lot. And then you have companies like Niche.
Well, no one ever talks about venture.
Right.
And here's the thing about venture.
Yeah.
So the way that they do everything, like all their core millings and stuff, they use that to heat the furnace at their factory to heat the factory.
Right.
So they're like just trying to...
Their waste stays in factory.
Yeah. They've just figured out a way to have less waste in there and stuff. And you're seeing it with bigger brands that do like that base swap. So if it's a die cut and it's black and white, the other one will be white and black.
Yep.
And you're seeing more and more of that every year, and you're seeing more companies starting to use the bioresin, like Entropy and whatnot.
Which is funny. I actually had a conversation with one of the Solomon ski dudes, and I asked him about that, if they had made any efforts, because he was talking about their, they figured out a way to minimize their packaging on their rental skis, blah, blah, blah. So I asked him if they had experimented with any of the bioresins, and he just said they're not scalable. In which case I said, yes, they are. That's what Burton uses.
Yeah.
Every single one of their boards has a bioresin. And now there's two different stories with bioresin. So there's bioresins that don't use caustic chemicals and use less water and aren't nearly as harmful in the environment. And then there's the stuff, Burton calls it re-res. I think that might be the brand name on it, basically. Niche used it before Burton did.
Yeah, it's the one
Burton is using it in some of their family tree stuff.
It's the stuff that'll break down. Like you can actually pull everything apart.
Yeah, you can actually just submerge the entire snowboard into a solution. It breaks down the glue into something that's
and let's be honest, Niche is the first.
Niche was the first, right?
Niche was the first.
And honestly, Niche was one of the first people to get a viable bioresin that made the snowboards ride good. We played around with it when I was working at Signal, and the stuff just didn't have a hold to it.
That's one of the issues with bioresin. They're perfecting it every year, but the first couple generations, they weren't as strong.
No, they just weren't as good.
They would just blow apart.
Yeah.
And then they started putting more rubber into it, I guess, to make it like
they had a higher elasticity than standard resin, which...
great for jib boards.
Yeah, it was great for jib boards. Like the Niche New back then was awesome, personally. But so there's companies out there like Niche that are using, they're at the Mothership, which is a zero carbon emission factory.
True.
It uses a ton of their, Mothership may or may not have their issues, but their sustainability story is genuine and really good. It is genuinely really good. Like all of their heating, all of their energy comes from the river that's right there.
Yep.
And it's an extremely high tech situation. And then on top of that, Niche is using, they use a ton of basalt instead of fiberglass. They're using, they've used hemp before instead of carbon because it has a similar tensile strength when you lay it up in a resin matrix.
It does, but it doesn't have that same rebound.
It's not. It's an organic. It's that more organic, like bamboo.
Yeah.
Or they're using bamboo. Like we're starting to see a lot more companies use this kind of materials. I know Solomon Skis going into 2020 replaced Koroyd, which is plastic, for cork. Which I've always been a huge fan of cork. I think if you use it right, you just have to pick and choose where you put it in.
Yeah, Solomon's used it in the past because I can remember like the grip, and I think maybe the first generation Assassin, but I know the grip for sure had it.
The Assassin still has it.
Does it still?
Yeah, Assassin.
But I can remember when I had a grip that had it underfoot. It was great for dampening, but I'll tell you what, the thing could not charging flat based. It was great, but if you got it on edge, it wouldn't grip. And which is funny because the board was called the Grip.
It's called the Grip, and
but it freaking only had about this much surface area, and the rest of it was all just rocker. It was crazy.
It is a paddleboard.
It was.
Cork as a material, I think, is going to see a growth soon as we start to get better at using it, and our production capabilities are getting closer to being able to use it. We're going to start to see it go into cores instead of just sidewalls for dampening. It's going to go into cores for dampening or for vibration dampening. But so we're starting to see companies move more towards those directions. There's definitely companies out there that push the green story, and realistically they're putting just as much plastic into the industry as they are recycling it.
They are, or my favorite is they're shipping equipment all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not, or they're buying green credits. They're just buying.
And that's the other big thing is when a company will tell you, oh, we're zero carbon emissions. What they can do is literally buy carbon credits that qualify as being able to say that they offset their carbon emissions. And then you have brands like Arbor, for instance, that when they say they've offset their, carbon emissions plus all of their retailers, it's because they've replanted a massive amount of the koa forests on the Big Island in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So they've literally added foliage that's going to soak up CO2. So their carbon footprint really is negative because of how much plant growth that they've actually created, essentially. Right. So kind of goes both ways. At the end of the day, snowboarding is not green.
No.
It never will be.
It never will be. And I want to touch on something, too, especially being in Vail Resort's backyard, because Breckenridge tries to tout this whole, we're a super green, we recycle, we do, like, the whole town. I'm not talking the resort, the town. Mm-hmm. I want people to know that most of the recycling actually ends up in the landfill here. They don't have the capacity. I've had friends that have volunteered. They don't have the capacity, or it gets tainted because so many people just throw their trash in there.
Yep.
It ends up at the garbage dump outside Keystone. So for all you people that are driving to Keystone, when the mountain's on your right and you look to the left, right when all the new condos are, right up behind there, up the dirt road, is the dump. Mm-hmm. It's the county dump. So that's another thing. Like, all these resorts that are like, oh, we're zero carbon and we're doing this. I'm like, you're going to tell me you're zero when those cats are firing up that diesel and blowing that smog, or when your power goes out and you're running the generator to run the chairlift at the top? No, you're not. You're buying carbon credits. You're doing that. Until you go full solar to run everything and you figure out how to make a solar cat, you're still running diesel. Snowmobiles cost gas, everything like that, There's a reason that they have volunteer days. They do this here in Breck for the resort. They have a volunteer day to go clean up underneath the chairlifts. Like, you literally go up there, they give you a bag.
Trash that sits underneath the chairlifts at the end of the season.
Yeah,
is
insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the other big thing, and something that if you want to have an impact on, your personal sustainability, recycling, you touched on it, is a contamination to it. Like, 8% of what actually gets sent to recycling factories can be recycled.
Yeah, it's too contaminated.
Right.
I'll tell you what's cool is there's a guy in Europe that has figured out how to reverse plastics back into oil. And they're still in the early phases of it. I was watching a documentary on it, but he literally turned on the tap and he's like, it's gasoline. He's like, it's 93 octane. I'm like, Jesus. Yeah. It's high-ass octane.
Right.
But they're figuring it out. He's like, it's great because that you can get some of the plastics in which we really, literally, the human that invented the marketing behind bottled waters should be cursed to hell.
Yes.
Because, like, water bottles end up everywhere, but we're all guilty of it. There's not much we can say about it. As much as we use reusables, we still do that. I think
situations, it's really fucking hard to avoid.
Yeah, But and the same thing with snowboards. Like, snowboards are not biodegradable to an extent. Like, there's stuff that will, but there's so much that won't. I mean, the best thing you can do is figure out how to repurpose your old equipment.
Right. And there are companies out there that do that. Vail's had programs here and there they've partnered with for recycling that basically gets chipped up, and some of the stuff, depending on what the gear itself actually is, some of the stuff will get turned into like play mats for kids' playgrounds, or it'll get chipped up and turned into just like mulch basically, and they can use it for other stuff. And out there they just destroy it basically.
Use it for insulation, things like that.
Like that kind of thing. They can, so that it is repurposable for sure. The hard thing is making it cost effective.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing that holds up a lot of this kind of stuff, is just the cost effectiveness of it. I mean, that's a huge part of it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do personally, and like I said at the very beginning of this segment, I think while there are certainly companies out there using the greenwashing story as a benefit to them, and they're not actually doing anything truly beneficial, I think in the long run, it's going to motivate enough companies to actually do real beneficial stuff that in the long run, I think it's a benefit. I think it's a good thing.
No, you start with these baby steps, and then it grows and it grows and it grows, and then eventually it becomes the commonplace.
Right.
And that's what we need. I mean, it's not something you're going to see take hold in a year or two, but 10, 15, 20 years? Yeah. And that's what you want. Yep. You want it to do that because... unless something drastic happens overnight where you can do this, it doesn't. But, you see companies trying to claim that they're a green company because they're using water-based inks. You're doing that too because chances are it's probably fucking cheaper.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, using water-based inks sounds great, but the dyeing process is a massive water usage. It's not great. The one that I like to see as far as dyeing is concerned is Burton is using a process called dry dye. Really using liquid CO2. It's a higher cost, but it uses I think 30% less water in order to make that garment. And over the if they can get to a point where they can do that for all of their garments, that's a massive decrease in the water usage, a 30% decrease with all the outerwear and clothing that they make. That's huge. So that's the kind of stuff that we really need to see. And my best advice to you is if you are concerned with this issue is just get educated. That's one of the biggest things when it comes to sustainability or the environment is people just aren't educated on it at all. They don't understand what they're looking at. And, like you said, that's the perfect example of it is saying, oh, we use water-based inks. That doesn't actually necessarily mean it's good. It just maybe sounds good because you know that water's not harmful. That's all you know. Mm-hmm. But you don't know how much water they're using, and is the volume of water they're using harmful? Because that could be the case.
Right. And
the
ecology behind it is so...
There's a lot bigger impact to it than just the chemical itself or the process itself. It's how the process affects the people that are using it. It's how the raw materials are sourced. It's how the labor that's sourcing the raw materials is handled. So... And that's why, one of the ones that I really encourage people to pay attention to, and Patagonia has always been very good about pushing this. Burton has a higher percentage of it than Patagonia does, but is Blue Sign.
Yes.
And FSC. Those two are fantastic for sustainability because they're not only, some of the criteria is not only the environmental friendly piece, but also the social sustainability piece.
Right.
To making sure that the workers and the labor routes and all of that from start to finish, that very, very start life of that product from the very beginning to the very end is all certified by a third-party company that has nothing to do with the companies that they're certified. Right. So those two things are huge. The FSC and the Blue Sign is essentially on the clothing side. So if you see those labels, know that that's genuine sustainability product and not just greenwashing.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of that story.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much more we can touch on with that. So.
No.
So the final topic for this podcast, because I had a few people mention this on YouTube, was that Mount Baker put up a no side slipping sign. I think it was an access point, and then Jones Snowboards reposted it.
Yeah.
And some people were kind of butthurt about this. But it's no side slipping. I get where they're coming from with that. It's being respectful for people in the POW, and it also could come down to how you're packing that terrain down.
Right, yeah. It's being respectful to the terrain and to the people that, I don't know. Yeah, I have really mixed feelings on this one.
I mean, I don't think they're saying it there is no side slipping allowed, but it's funny because Ryan Napton made a video, and he's like, I love side slipping, and it was just 2 minutes of him side slipping.
Sure.
Which I'm like, everyone side slips. It's fine.
Yeah,
but what they're saying is, the photo and the way everything is you're in this terrain that side slipping, maybe it could cause an avalanche because you're putting more pressure. You come into a stop, you're pushing into it, it's breaking, cracking the layer, which I don't know why they're letting you go out that way, but whatever. Or it could be, hey, just be respectful of other people that want to get powder. I mean, there's nothing worse on a powder day than watching someone side slip 50 feet through a POW field and just push it out of your way. If you can't fucking ride it, don't be on that terrain.
And I think that's my biggest thing is that's kind of the message that I really took out of that is looking at the photo that they've got and that terrain right there, don't go in that little zone right there if you can't ride it effectively, because all you're going to do is ruin it for the next guy.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to literally, for that zone specifically, just with the way that it's laid out, if you slide slip through there, it's basically unrideable other than just being straight up hard pack. And you're going to have to literally wait for the next big storm for that little zone to be good again. Where if you actually ride it, you're going to be able to get a bunch of lines through there.
Yeah.
So
I can't tell you how many times at the basin I've seen people slide slip terrain they shouldn't have been on.
Right.
Like, why were you even in there?
Yeah. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway that I get from it is don't go to zones you can't handle.
Well,
I'm all for pushing yourself, but within reason.
Well, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. It was yesterday. I was at Copper. And I was heading off Super B, cutting through drain pipe and shit and cutting over. Hit a couple log jibs, and I'm coming through the woods, and I cut across the run, and it's all mobiled out and it's shit. So I'm no, the trees are going to probably be a little bit better, and it's easier for me to maneuver. And so I get over there, and I get into this one line I usually do, and I look at it, and the whole thing is just slide slip through the trees. And they were not flat trees. It was steep. It was steeper stuff. You had to know what you're doing. And so I cut through, and I'm coming out, and I get back up to go back up onto the run to get back to the chairlift, and there's two women just sitting there. They had side slipped through everything. It was them. Yeah. And they're just sitting there oh, that was so rough and so aggressive. And I'm like, why the fuck are you over here? You can't ride.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And I think that's kind of what they're getting at is, do that. I can remember hearing a story about Keystone 15, 16 years ago. They were opening the Outback, and they wouldn't let anyone on skis go back there. They're like, you're going to mogul it up. They would only let snowboarders, and they were told to only go straight. They just lined them up, and they're like, go straight to pack it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is, old school Vail.
Right. Yeah, that would never happen now.
No, but it's just one of those things. I don't think there's any reason to be up in arms about it.
No, I don't think so either. Anybody getting really upset about that, just calm down. It's Baker. They didn't mean anything negative about it.
No.
I think they really just trying to keep people
respectful of the terrain.
That were not capable of riding the terrain away from the terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. But we're going to finish out the podcast with that topic. Yep. And we'll be back in probably 2 weeks. So be prepared. You're going to get a bonus podcast. This is basically the 2020 preview.
Yep.
We're going to break down all the new gear. We'll have links to any digital catalogs online so you can follow along, see what we're talking about, see everything, get you guys hyped for the next year, talk about what's new.
It's going to be a big one.
2020 is going to be a big year. We're going to be riding a lot of shit.
We've already seen a lot, pretty much most of the brands, most of the major brands, and there's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of new boards, a lot of changes. So much
new stuff, and a lot of new shapes or new sizes. There's just a lot of great things going on for next year. I don't want to really spoil it now. We're going to save it for that. But, as always, you can always listen to this podcast on Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean. We're trying to get back on iTunes. Otherwise, you can catch these segments on YouTube. You can catch the full podcast on Angrysnowboarder.vip or 2 weeks later, you'll be able to catch it. 3 weeks later, full podcast will be on YouTube for everyone that isn't a VIP member. We just give it to them early. Let's see. That's about it. Kevin and I will be at the On Snow, so any of you industry people, feel free to slap a high five to us or anything like that. We'll probably have a few stickers lurking around. Also,
and I'll be at the industry show on Thursday.
Yeah.
Although I guess this won't air before then.
No, this won't air before then, so no one will know you were there.
No one's going to know I was there, so
but,
see ya.
Feel free to swing over to Angrysnowboarderstore.com, swoop up some new stickers. If you're getting a mystery sticker pack, I've been putting the new ones in there. You can support us on Angry Snowboarder VIP. I strongly recommend Sticker Club. It's the only way to get stickers in your mailbox every month for $7 a month. You get die cuts, slap stickers, all sorts of things like that. It's the best way to support us and help us grow. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you guys or talk to you guys or let you listen to us in another podcast.
Yep.